curious, how many is this their first Plan A meeting? We've been meeting since February, but I see some new faces. Cool. Well, thank you. It's a gorgeous day out, so I appreciate you coming into the gym this evening. We have a good panel discussion. When we were thinking about all this new growth and development that's coming to the city, you know, ARC, the Atlanta Regional Commission, is forecasting about a city of 700,000 people by 2050. That's about 170,000 more people in the next 25 years, calling the city home. And when we were thinking about this or talking to residents across the city for the past few months, you know, we really want to talk about how we're coordinating across all of our infrastructure systems, our parks, our water, our transportation, how we're going to sustain good quality growth and development. So we brought this panel together tonight because they bring the leadership across those city departments responsible for coordination. Leah LaRue, my Department of City Planning colleague and director of the neighborhood planning units, is the perfect moderator for tonight. Comprehensive planning is all about the needs and opportunities of our neighborhoods. So thank you, Leah, for moderating. And again, if you have any questions, pop up during the discussion. There's index cards floating around. Just raise your hand, give me your index cards. We're gonna curate the Q&A for the panel. So we'll collect them during the panel discussion so we can directly get those questions to the panel. And Doug Young, my boss in the Office of Design, will lead that Q&A session. So again, thank you so much for coming and enjoy the panel.
Now, okay, it's on. Oh, thank you, Nathan. Good evening, everyone. I'm Leah LaRue. I'm the Director of Neighborhood Planning Units for the City of Atlanta, and I am a part of the leadership of Commissioner Jahnee Prince in the Department of City Planning. Very, very happy to be here with all of you tonight, and more importantly, I'm very happy that all of you are here tonight. So I'm gonna introduce the panelists from left to right, starting with Commissioner Jahnee Prince, who is the Commissioner of the Department of City Planning.
Am I supposed to say something? Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming out. I see a lot of familiar faces and a bunch of new ones too, which I'm really excited about.
And Commissioner Solomon Caviness, who is the Commissioner of Atlanta's Department of Transportation.
Hola, it's good to see everyone.
And my colleague, Tara Buckner, Urban Planner 3, representing the Commissioner of the Department of Parks and Recreation, Justin Cutler. Tara Buckner.
Hey. Good evening.
Wonderful. All right, well, let's get started. Y'all ready? Great. Commissioner Prince, the Department of City Planning has met with residents across the city in over 30 meetings since kicking off the comprehensive planning process in February. A popular topic of conversation has been accommodating growth while protecting the physical character of Atlanta's neighborhoods. We've talked about that quite a bit in these over 30 meetings. In what ways will Plan A balance growth across our neighborhoods?
I'd like to buy a vowel. In what ways will Plan A balance growth across our neighborhoods? How many of you have been to one of our plans for the comprehensive development, or one of our meetings for the comprehensive development plan? Oh, yay, okay, good. Heard a lot from all y'all. I don't think that the comprehensive development plan, Plan A, I don't think it will balance growth across our neighborhoods, but what I do think it will do is guide the growth of the city, the development of the city, and any change that we want to see happen. And also, I think it will help with equity across neighborhoods in terms of the quality of the development that we get and some of the development types. But I don't think it will exactly balance everything, because I think that different neighborhoods attract different types of development. So, for example, up here in Buckhead, we have a lot of single-family homes, and there's a really strong demand for single-family homes here. Except on the corridors, the commercial corridors, we've heard a lot from people coming to the meetings that said, you know, we know that growth is coming, and we think that housing units for these people who are coming to our city would be best on our corridors, our big commercial corridors, and also around our transit stations, which, if you think about it, y'all, it makes a lot of sense. And what I've been saying right from the beginning is, you know, tell us what you want and we'll write you a plan to get it. In other neighborhoods, for example, ones where there's a really great highway access or rail access, those neighborhoods are especially well suited for industrial development or things like data centers, you know, the things that need good highway access, a lot of utilities and so forth. So I think every neighborhood will still be different. But the one thing in life you could count on is change. So we're going to grow and we're going to change, and how it happens depends on the input of these nice people who came out and given us their time and their knowledge about their community.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Caviness, public meetings for Plan A will wrap up early next year, and soon after, I hear public meetings for the city's comprehensive transportation plan will begin. How do you see these two citywide planning processes complementing each other?
Thank you for having me Plan A participate. If you aren't aware, the Plan A includes a transportation element by state statute, and we thought that our comprehensive transportation planning would marry well with the required transportation element within the development plan. So we went to our MPO and said, can we have some money to support us? And we would have started earlier, but given the cycle, we're not going to be able to start until hopefully this December. So it's good in a way. The development plan has already started because transportation and land use obviously go hand in hand, right? And in the past, you know, it's been questionable in terms of who's thought about transportation and land use. So we're in a position to really kick this off strong, considering we've been a part of this process, and the transportation element will be the overarching start to our comprehensive transportation planning. And as most, if not all of you are aware, there's a whole lot going on by way of transportation investment in the city, and a lot of conversations around, robust conversations around transit, around development, and you know, some of our major corridors. And we have two bonds that have been out since 2015, and we have yet to complete those bonds, or the construction of some of those capital programs or projects. So we're really excited about being a part of the land development work as well as comprehensive transportation planning, because we're actually living it in real time. So, and everyone's starving for it, quite frankly, in this city. So we're looking forward to getting that kicked off, and we hope that we get as much excitement and participation as the plan that's already started. And maybe that participation can help us also, will help us also guide our delivery of our current capital program, considering we have a lot of work to finish. So, you know, all this is happening in real time, but, you know, we're looking 15, 20 years out to think about what the future of Atlanta looks like. So.
Awesome. December, huh?
Yes.
It's right
December.
around the corner.
I wanted it last December, but, you know.
So people should be looking out for a December-ish kickoff?
Kickoff, hopefully early December.
Early December, wonderful. Tara, the Department of Parks and Recreation is in the middle of the Trails ATL planning process. We've all seen and hopefully participated in the Trails ATL meetings, yes? Yes, no? Oh, y'all so quiet out there, my goodness. Have y'all seen the Trails ATL Banners and everything. Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Trails are an interesting component of the city's future. They improve our city, of course, through recreation, transportation, and environmental action. What are you hearing from neighborhoods as you and the Trails ATL planning team are meeting with the public?
Okay, thank you. So let me start with the fact that we, like transportation, will be folded into the work of city planning in terms of the Plan A. There will be information there on not just the trails, but Parks and Rec. And so the things that we are hearing about trails is that people really want trails. They want not trails in one area, but they want trails citywide. They want to be able to connect to the Beltline. They want to be able to connect to other neighborhoods. And as I just spoke to a gentleman here, very soon you'll be able to walk from one end of Atlanta all the way west to Alabama. And so, I don't know who wants to, but anyway, I'm focused on Atlanta.
Who's taking that walk?
But if you really don't have anything else to do, you could do that. But we hear that, people want trails for health reasons. They want places for young people to be. Our focus has been health, safety. We want safe trails, but we also want to make it so that you can go to the places that you want to go. Whether that's to a grocery store that's nearby, or if you just want to take a walk, or if you want to go to one of our parks. We hope to have trails within a 10-minute walk of every residence in the city. So we're hearing that that's what people would like to see, and that's what we believe the plan will have. This plan, we hope to finish up before Plan A is completed, sometime in the spring. And so we will fold right into what's happening with the transportation plan, and as they finish, and then of course, Plan A.
Awesome. Without adequate infrastructure and continued capital investments, the city will not be able to support its future growth. We agree? Yeah? Okay, great. So what infrastructure projects are the city working on that will support that need? Any one of you. I'd love to hear from all of you.
All right. Since you said infrastructure. So there's, let's look at infrastructure in a broader sense. So there's digital infrastructure that connects us. There's a lot of work going on in terms of broadband and sustainability and making sure we're connected. There's the physical, where you think about roadways, transit, also connectivity of our physical ways of getting around with the infrastructure. So I will touch on safety. We've partnered with Georgia Department of Transportation for connecting vehicles and our ways of getting around to the infrastructure around us to support our Vision Zero programming. Tara's being very modest about the Trails program. That is probably one of the most popular and important programs, I think, for the city, considering the explosion of trails in the city after the Beltline. So, I can touch on a number of infrastructure projects to include our More MARTA program. We have the first bus rapid transit system going through Summer Hill. We hope to break ground on the Cleveland Avenue, Metropolitan Avenue with MARTA. We've partnered on 5 Points, and the FRA has reached out to us with Amtrak to find a place for the next Amtrak station. It's really exciting stuff because they're talking high-speed rail, North Carolina, Tennessee, down to Florida and Savannah, and everything lands in Atlanta. So where does that happen? Resurfacing has become a priority for us because our infrastructure has been left neglected, if you will. Please don't write that down. Relative to just state of good repair and preservation of our roadway network. I will say we have $240 million worth of work on the street now. I need to get at least double that out in 2025. By 2027, I need to give the public a reason to vote for another bond referendum in the city. Corridors like Monroe Boulevard, corridors like Cascade. We just started resurfacing Camden Road. We think about equity and making sure all of the city has improvements. Peachtree Street, preparation for the World Cup. We just passed a $120 million bond today to improve all of downtown Atlanta. So with that, I'm a bit long-winded. We got a lot going on. We have a lot going on, but it doesn't, mean anything until it actually changes people's perception and their quality of life. There are too many people getting hit. We're top 5 in the country in terms of micromobility. People love these scooters and the electric bikes and whatever else is coming. We got Google with their driverless cars all over the place, deploying come Q2 of 2025. There's a lot going on in Atlanta, and everybody wants to be here. So a lot of infrastructure work happening.
May I answer?
Commissioner?
Oh, well, yes, everybody wants to be here. We know that from our population projections.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to add about 200,000 people in the next 25 years. And, where they go will help dictate where the infrastructure investments should be. So it's very important that we know that from y'all, where should these people go so we can serve as many people as possible and make the most financially efficient investments in our city's infrastructure.
And I guess I would add to, at first say, the City of Atlanta Department of Parks and Recreation received the largest amount in support that it has had in probably 30 years with the Moving Atlanta Forward bond initiative. It brought $147 million to the parks, and I think you all will reflect back on the pandemic, and I think it had been a long time before people realized how important having green space, open space was until we had that situation. And so with this $147 million, we have been able to identify 71 projects. 13 are in and around this area here. And so we are improving parks, we are installing new playgrounds, exercise equipment. Again, if you get on that trail and you stop at a park, you can do a little exercise. We are improving our programming. Many opportunities are now available between the Moving Atlanta Forward funds and the millage. So many projects.
Wow. All of that sounds so exciting. I can't wait as an Atlantan myself. I can't wait to have the trails in my backyard that will take me to the parks with the exercise equipment and the sidewalks where I can walk to the trails safely. I love it. I love it. So are there parts of your departments, the three of you, are there parts of your department's work program that might be unexpected to the general public, but play a significant role in making Atlanta a great city?
Parts of our department?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I feel like our maintenance department is really, really important. I think that for a long time, because of the resources that we did not have, we weren't able to make the kinds of repairs that I think Atlantans would have liked us to be able to make. And now we're in the process of making those. And I think a lot of people are very pleased with the upgrades. That, if they're not pleased now, they will be pleased shortly. We aim to finish many of these projects by 2026. So.
Awesome. Commissioner Caviness, what's going on in transportation?
Oh boy, she put pressure on the 2026. So I will say, man, safe routes to schools is, and that's a bit serendipitous considering where we are. We just got an award for our Safe Routes to Schools manager, and we want to grow that program. We have a number of schools and all these cars, and that confluence of cars and the impacts on people's lives. I have 2 little girls, and they are in school on the east side of the city, and it really means something to most of us. If you have kids, grandkids, or surrogate kids, it's really important that we take care of the most important asset in our lives. The mayor has made this the second year of the Year of the Youth, wants to make this the #1 city in the country to raise children. I've moved my family from New Jersey right across from Manhattan, and the quality of life means a lot to me and my family. So our Safe Routes to Schools program, we're investing year over year to try to make things better. We have school enforcement technology out front here, and we're working with the Georgia Department of Transportation, but there's so much more that we can do. So that's something that should mean something to everyone within the city, but Safe Routes to Schools is something that we're focused on.
There are some things in the Department of City Planning that you probably haven't heard about, but you might be happy to know about. Has anybody ever heard of the Main Street program? That's, okay, a couple of you, and you know that normally it's used in small towns, right? It's an historic preservation-based economic development type program for historic downtowns. But what you probably didn't know is that the city of Atlanta has 5 Main Street districts in the city limits. And the Department of City Planning works with those districts to help the merchants, to help just improve the business, make it a great place to do business, help with aesthetics, working with the city, helping small business owners, connecting them with like the Small Business Association and with Invest Atlanta. And we are working with the National Main Street Organization to develop a program for big cities. So think about it this way. It's a way that we work with our small business districts to make them more vibrant. What I hear a lot from people in these meetings is that they want someplace cool to walk to. They want to be able to walk to a store or a restaurant, the library, what have you. And a Main Street district can help make that happen. So that's something that we do. And it's very, low level on the street economic development. It's not something that Invest Atlanta does. It's not, bringing in the big fish, the big, Fortune 500 employers. It's helping out the florist and the coffee shop and all those cool things you like to have in your neighborhood. It's helping them. We also have an urban agriculture program. So it's called Atlanta, and we work on this together with the Mayor's Office of Sustainability and Resilience. The goal is to have fresh food access for everybody in the city within a half mile of their house. So we have a lot of these. Yeah, it's awesome. You guys have heard of food deserts. Well, come on, we don't want that. You should be able to buy food someplace besides a gas station, right? So we have all these little farms all around the city. If you've ever seen them, but yeah, we have them. And we have a food systems planner that works with the Atlanta program, and it's pretty neat. We also do historic preservation in the Department of City Planning, and you probably expected that, right? You've probably been maybe to an Urban Design Commission meeting, or at least you've heard of it. But we do more than just protecting buildings. We do things about preserving culture and historic events that took place in Atlanta that maybe are not exactly tied to just one building. So we do some very cool things with the LGBTQ community, with the Preserving Pride program. We're doing some things with the civil rights movement and all these different spots around the city so that you could do a self-guided tour. This would be great for tourism. We also have a brownfields program. Do you guys know what a brownfield is? God, you guys are great. I love this. So we work together with property owners on remediating brownfields so that these properties can be put back into productive use. We do loans for this, and we also do our own remediation. Have you heard of the Chattahoochee Brick Company site? Yes. That is going to be a big park one day when we get the soil remediated and get everything cleaned up and a park planned over there, and it will open the city back up to the river. We have 7 miles of riverfront along the Chattahoochee. Why aren't we using it? That's very cool. We should have it, right? There should be a park there. There should be a lot of great things. But on the Chattahoochee Brick site, the soil's very contaminated. So our brownfields program is working together with the Parks Department and ATL DOT, because there's got to be some trails, there's got to be connections. And that's going to be a longer term project, but it's going to happen. That enough for you?
That's a lot. I'm trying to figure out how we get it all done. Sounds like some amazing folks at City Hall.
We have great staff. You see these people in the orange t-shirts? Take a look around. They are the hardest working people you will find at City Hall.
Commissioner Prince, I noticed when you were talking about the main streets, eyes were glazing over like, ooh, really? I have a free brownie to anybody who can tell me where the 5 Main Street districts are, including Commissioner Prince. I see Deputy Commissioner Sitafall over there raising her hand. Director Doug Young over there. Let's say, because someone from the audience was hoping. I jotted down 4 off the top of my head. There's one I'm missing, but
city staff cannot participate.
I think city staff kind of has to participate because everybody else is like, where are they? Where are they? That's the one I didn't have. Great. Cascade. What was that? Little 5 points over there, over by MPUN. What was that? I don't think that's one of them. Is it? Oh, sorry, Amy. East Atlanta. So we've got Cascade. We've got Little 5 Points. Oh, that's the one that's not. Little 5 Points, East Atlanta, West End. I'll throw mine in, which is Sweet Auburn. Virginia Highlands. That's the 5.
Hey.
Did you get them? To the lady that was asking, you got them? No, that's 5. Cascade is not one of them. Cross Cascade off.
But maybe it ought to be. I'll add that to the list. Who got all 5?
Sweet Auburn.
It's West End, yeah.
Definitely West End.
But nobody got all 5? Well, I'll eat all the brownies myself. Okay.
Yes, it took all of us. Brownies
Everybody
for
gets a
everybody.
brownie,
Everybody
yeah.
gets a brownie. Everybody gets a brownie. All right, so Atlanta City Design establishes a vision for Plan A. It says, at our best, Atlanta is both a vibrant city and a verdant forest. Our core values, equity, progress, ambition, access, and nature, will guide our growth and change to create a future city that is designed for people, designed for nature, and designed for people in nature. There are places around the city where our streets, our creeks, and parks and trails intersect and highlight Atlanta's unique opportunity to design a future for people in nature. You were talking about Chattahoochee a few minutes ago. This reminds me of that. Where in the city are your departments planning together to achieve this vision? And what excites you about these efforts?
Where are we not planning together? Well, just so you know, I mean, these three departments, we work together on all kinds of things every day. So we're not in silos at City Hall, absolutely not.
And I guess I'll just single out my department. A few years back, the council and the mayor approved the Activate ATL 10-year comprehensive master plan, which of course the Trails plan kind of peeled off, but also built on the Atlanta City design values. And so when we talked about equity, we looked at our park system. We evaluated every single park, green space, triangle, circle, square, not square, rectangle. We looked at it all, and we gave them all scores. And we put that against some census data, determinants of health, social determinants of health. We put those all together, and we ranked them all. And then we created what is now known as the Equity Data Tool. So you can go to the website, activate-atl.com, and click on the Equity Tool, and you can see where your nearby park ranks. But we use that ranking. It's not the only tool we use, but we use that tool to evaluate how we develop parks. Now, if you tell me today, Tara, I have an affinity for Alexander Park, and I want to put a new playground there or something, I have to look at that along, of course, with our deputy commissioner of partnerships and say, hey, you know, we don't want to turn anything away, but when we get resources like, for example, the Moving Atlanta Forward money, we use that tool to evaluate how we can prioritize the funding and improving the parks that are the greatest need. And I will just use this one example of equity and that equity data tool. The number 2 park in the system shows up as Stone Hogan. It's getting ready to change. Why? Because everybody went to that website, all these organizations, and they said, oh, that's the number 2 park. I can do this, I can do that. And so we were able to get, for example, the basketball court refurbished by SCAD, by the SCAD school, and other resources. And so as people look at that, we are able to attract some other resources to help us get our work done, and then of course move those resources to other places. So equity and trying to have some level of measure and discussion about what that looks like is really important in Parks and Rec.
Awesome, that's exciting. Commissioner Caviness, anything your department is working on with Parks and Rec and planning that excites you?
I did not mention Beltline Rail, for the record. However, that conversation is ongoing. The mayor has been actively a part of that conversation, and we look forward to reimagining the possibilities and thinking about what we need. However, the mayor asked to connect downtown to the Chattahoochee by World Cup summer 2026. It's going to take all of us to make that happen.
Wow. And some.
And some.
And some.
However, we've gotten busy. We are, laying concrete and bringing the trail, but the mayor has a neighborhood revitalization program, and it takes all of our departments to put their heads together to think about how we revitalize some of our neighborhoods, especially as it relates to equity. So, some of the lessons learned from neighborhoods that have really flourished throughout the city, we're bringing that to the other areas. The feds have provided us grants and have bought into our vision. But, personally, I think reconnecting with the communities is a priority that needs to be the focus of what we do. That's why I'm excited about the Plan A and our transportation comprehensive plan. But when I got here, there wasn't much conversation and collaboration happening. Let me tell you, we are on the phone every other week, having our staff go through agendas to look at all of our priorities, and it includes the commissioners. So there's a lot happening, and I'm excited just about the relationship building. And this mayor is about circles,
Drawing circles.
and I heard that the relationship with council hasn't been what it is now. And we have amazing relationships with council. We have council here, but we've done so much together, and we want to keep that going.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Commissioner Caviness. Commissioner Prince, anything that Tara and Commissioner Caviness left out?
Well, they said so much, but the comprehensive development plan is a great example, because to pull off these meetings, and I think we're on meeting number 31 now, y'all. It takes a lot to staff up these meetings and make sure that they run smoothly, and the setup and the breakdown. And we have a contract with some consultants to do this comprehensive development plan for us. But to save money, I brought the community engagement piece back in-house. Because if you think about what it would cost $150 an hour for each staff person that a consultant brought here. And they would need, 10, 15 people per meeting, 30 meetings. Do the math. So we brought that effort, the community engagement effort, back in-house. And Department of City Planning has more than 200 employees, so that's a lot of people to draw from. But people are busy. They have lives. They don't want to work, 3 nights a week doing these meetings. And you know who stepped up? The staff from these 2 departments stepped up and helped us out. And when it comes time for the comprehensive transportation plan, my staff will help them out. And with the trails plan, when they need help with community engagement, we will be there. We work together on stuff all the time. It's great for collaboration, and it makes sure that we do things in an efficient way and in a way where we've considered every possible thing, because all the big brains are in the room at the same time.
And it's your money. Want to be good stewards of your money.
Yes, we're saving you money.
Our money. Yeah.
I love it. All right. So is there anything else that you all want to add? I understand we have some questions from the audience that we're going to get into now. But before we get into those questions, I just want to make sure, is there anything else that you want to add before we take questions from the audience?
I can't say it enough. Comprehensive transportation planning, the land development plan, this is a dream for people who've been waiting for this. I've been here since January of 23, but it's a long time coming, and we're trying to live out that dream. So I can't emphasize enough the trails plan, the comprehensive transportation plan, land development, all of this stuff is connected. So it shouldn't be our plan. It should be the people's plan. So I just want to emphasize that.
And I love how we're talking about the connection between all of these plans and demonstrating that we're working together in our departments. I know we've got the group of colleagues from planning and from transportation come together once a month. We call ourselves team, is it twice a month? No, not you guys. I'm talking about us. We've got team Plansportation that gets together once a month to talk planning and transportation together. And I know the department heads also meet collaboratively to talk about the intersection of all of these plans. And I will tell you, as the person who works most closely with the MPUs and the neighborhood associations and the business associations, they're asking the same thing. How does this all work together? How do you all work together? How do these plans intersect? We just heard this in September's meeting of the Atlanta Planning Advisory Board. So I'm very glad to hear all of you talking about that today. All right, let's take some questions from the audience. Oh, I'm sorry, Tara. Yes, Tara, come on with the shameless plug. Let's do it.
So we are in the final stages of the Trails ATL community engagement plan, part of the plan, and we will be writing soon so that we can deliver that to you. There is a survey. We actually had 3 surveys. This is the 3rd survey. Please take this survey. Tell us what you think about about trails. Where you want to go. We have maps on the website, trailsatl.com, that will show you preliminary alignments of where those trails would be, the types of trails, the greenways, and the street trails that we'll be, of course, partnering with you guys on. But a shameless plug, trailsatl.com. Here's the link.
I like that plug. I like that plug. Did everybody get the QR code? We'll have it up here too.
Okay.
So when we're done, you can grab it.
Thank you.
All right, Doug, we have questions?
Yes, thank you, Leah. Thank you again to our panelists for participating. We got lots of great questions. These were the index card questions y'all filled out, plus the Post-its from the boards. So we tried to group them together a little bit so you don't hear your specific question. No fear, we have all the cards and we'll still keep those in our, as we go through our public participation recap for this process. So about 6 or 7 topics we want to try to get through in the time we have left. So we'll start with something that's always on a lot of folks' mind, which is traffic, transportation, and transit. So I'll just ask the question straight up. What can the city do about traffic? That was repeated many, many times. But to add to that, how does the MARTA system fit into that response? And then, yet again, how do we coordinate other ways of getting around town? Traffic, MARTA system, and other ways to get around town.
Other ways. Okay, that's great. So I'm a traffic engineer. That was my field. I started my career in traffic. Unfortunately, many of the pains and ills related to traffic here are Georgia Department of Transportation related. They manage the highway system, some of our major arterials that handle much of our traffic. So it's really important for the city, representatives of the people of Atlanta, and coordinators in the region engage with Georgia Department of Transportation. They have the state network, but it's important that we bring the concerns of the impacts of our city. Traffic management in the city of Atlanta is managed generally by Georgia Department of Transportation. We need to turn that on its head and have influence on how traffic's routed, potential impact fees associated with the impacts of that traffic through neighborhoods. There's so much that we can do. So we've started that conversation with Georgia Department of Transportation. Commissioner McMurray is a great guy. So there's so much more we can do. Personally, moving from the tri-state next to Manhattan, people were less concerned, or shucks, the pain felt less if you had the information. If you knew that you were going to be sitting in traffic for an hour, you could at least let people know, well, not an hour, But if you would be delayed, you could let folks know you're going to be late to a meeting, you're going to be late to your destination. I think we need to do so much better in terms of information, sharing information about the impacts. Now you have social media. In Atlanta, you have these sites where people go and you find out Buckhead is blocked because of traffic signals or whatever. So we're working on that with Georgia Department of Transportation. I cannot guarantee that traffic will get any lighter given the projections of the population coming to Atlanta, but at least that information and knowing helps. MARTA, I have to be very careful here. MARTA, we've invested $1 billion or so towards this More MARTA program. We have to think about or rethink about what MARTA represents for us. They're going through a bus network redesign where they're looking at the most efficient corridors, but making MARTA more attractive and comfortable, goes a long way. So I think MARTA is trying their darndest to make that happen. The BRT system, I think people are going to be really surprised by the products and what MARTA is bringing to bear with their programming. We're going to do everything in our power to try to push MARTA and make MARTA the best it can be for all of our folks in Atlanta. And the third was other ways of getting around. So I mentioned these driverless cars, all right? Technology, innovate. I know, it's outrage for some, like, right. Listen, if you think that's something, watch out for World Cup when you have flying taxis flying overhead from Hartsville to, points wherever. You press on an app and, you go to a station and you can fly from point A to B. The more outlandish these things sound, the more the opportunity for the market to take advantage of it and introduce it to the market. And you say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm living in this age, right? We're the Jetsons. It's being tested in Southern California. They're preparing in San Jose. We have the busiest and most efficient airport facility here in Atlanta. And the FAA are looking at this electric vertical transportation systems coming here. So all I'm going to say is have an open mind. Who knew that these scooters and these electric bikes and all would have the impact they have in the downtown areas and all? Who knew that the Ubers and the Lyfts would be, regular ways of getting around? But I just say, just have an open mind. We are open to what the market wants to introduce, but we represent you, so we want to make sure that it makes sense and it's safe, so that's my spiel.
One more plug. You want to go to the grocery store, get on a trail. You want to go to the park,
Yes.
get on a trail.
Yes.
If you want to go to Alabama,
Yes.
get on a trail.
Thank you, members of our panel. And just to remind folks that on your fact sheet you picked up on the way in, I'll be referencing this throughout the Q&A. On December 16th is the transportation chapter conversation, and that'll be a prelude, if you will, to the CTP that Commissioner Caviness has mentioned. So please make note of that on your calendars, December 16th on Lee Street in Southwest Atlanta. Switching gears a little bit to another whole host of questions about this, which is, and this is really for anybody on the panel, though you might not think this the way I'm asking it. How can the city recognize various neighborhoods' unique qualities, but at the same time allow for flexibility for housing diversity for those areas that want it? And that can include house size, housing affordability, things of that nature.
I think one of the things, sorry. I have a big voice, so sometimes you don't even want to hear me in the mic. But I think one of the things that we looked at when we were looking at Activate ATL is this intersectionality between parks and affordable housing, and understanding that, we are going to be more dense, we need more open space. And so I think addressing that challenge, we have been partnering with Atlanta Housing to figure out different ways to provide recreation opportunities as well as open space.
Other panel members want to chime in? Sure. So the question was, how can the city recognize the unique qualities of our neighborhoods? Many of us think our neighborhood is the best one in the city of Atlanta. Mine too. But how do you do that and also provide a flexibility for folks who want change in their neighborhood or different choices in the future, if that's part of their vision for their neighborhood? And one of our panel members touched on housing affordability. Then we had a related question actually about historic preservation, but also at the same time allowing for flexibility to go forward as the city changes. So they're all sort of wrapped up together about, we love our neighborhoods, we want to keep what we love about them, but we also want to, in some cases, provide some flexibility if that's in the cards for that neighborhood.
I think the communities will tell us that, and I think that they have. We did ask about accessory dwelling units, right? And they are allowed on all R4 zoned properties, which is a huge chunk of the city. My house is zoned R4. But when we asked about more than one accessory dwelling unit, we heard no, 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 no. And y'all said, this is 31 meetings worth of y'all said, we would like you to add more dwelling units near the MARTA stations and along corridors that have transit and shopping and all of the things. And that's really smart because I also started out in transportation planning and I worked in transportation demand management. What that is getting people out of their cars and getting them to move around using other modes of transportation. Like, I don't know, how about maybe their feet, right? Because if you live on this corridor where there's just grocery store just a little bit down that way and the library is across the street and whatever, those people aren't driving. And you may not want to use MARTA, but I bet you'd like it if your neighbor did, right? Yes, that's what everybody says. So there are ways that we can develop that will not generate as much traffic as the ways we have developed in the past. And we can add this density to our corridors and to our MARTA stations and create more housing units and more affordable housing units so that when your kids graduate from college, they can afford to come back here. Have y'all looked into what a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment costs these days? If you haven't, I would suggest that you do. There's a lot of work to be done. There are not enough housing units for all the people we have coming, and it is not affordable in this city. So you got kids in high school, college, be thinking about this.
Thank you, Commissioner. And just another plug for our meeting. So on January 29th will be our housing chapter conversation. Please make note of that. And then on November 18th will be the historic preservation chapter meeting in Southeast Atlanta. So those will be great conversations to join to talk about this kind of question about our uniqueness of our neighborhoods. Commissioner Prince mentioned all the folks that are coming to the city of Atlanta. So my question for the panel is a little more philosophical. What should the city's role be in the region, right? Is it a place to work, a place to live, a place to visit? And then as related to that is, why do people move here? And if those positive things that make them move here, how do we keep those positive things as more people continue to move here? How do we do that through our city processes and departments?
Well, you asked, is it a place to live, a place to work, a place to visit? I'm going to say yes, yes, yes. And I think by very careful planning, this comprehensive development plan is a high-level plan, right? Because it's long range. And the city is very large geographically. A brownie for anybody who can say exactly how many square miles it is without looking it up on their phone. And we're not taking a deep dive into any one neighborhood here, right? We're talking about general development patterns and infrastructure and parks. We're talking a lot about policies. Well, when we finish this plan, we're going to need to take a very close look at a lot of our neighborhoods, right? We're going to need to take a deep dive into certain neighborhoods, and I would suggest that we would do that in neighborhoods that are changing very fast. Places where there's a lot of development activity, where there's a lot of people moving. So to make sure we keep that character, that reason to be here, we need to be very deliberate and careful in our planning efforts. And that's why when we finish the CDP, these same people here, these ones in the orange t-shirts, are going to be doing small area plans around the city. And they'll be doing it until we update this big overall citywide plan again. So want to keep you all busy, right? So in the years to come, you have more city planning meetings to come to.
50th year of the MPU system, right? Yeah. So I think one of the greatest attractor to Atlanta is community. I'm one of those who transplants who came down less than 2 years ago because of quality of life, but community. My family was here, and it's warmer. But I gotta say, since I've been here, the collective input is a very active, loud voice from the community here. It makes a difference. And if you think Atlanta has grown and is growing, you hadn't seen nothing yet. It is about to explode. And what we need to be thinking about as the community that's here is the legacy that we want to leave, especially for those generations to come, because I don't know if y'all grew up in Atlanta like I did back in the 80s and 90s. You know, we always knew Atlanta would be big, but Atlanta has exploded. When I came back here after 30 years, I cannot believe the city and what it represents. It is known around the world. I've worked in Abu Dhabi, I have been in New York, I've been everywhere, and they all talk about Atlanta, they hear about Atlanta. This is a very special place, and people know it. So they are coming. These events that we have World Cup, we have college football championship, we have Super Bowl now in 28. We have events that y'all haven't even heard about that are happening, conventions. It's a really exciting place, but it's ours. And it's really important as a community for us to think about planning and the legacy that we want to leave, especially as examples for those folks who move here like me and my family. So, yeah.
Ms. Buckner, do you want to add anything to that?
Well, I'm representing Parks and Recreation, and I think our role in the region, specifically Parks and Recreation, is to attract people who want to live, work, or visit here. I would like to see that when people get off a plane and they come here, they say, I want to see Westside Park, I want to see Piedmont Park, I want to see, I want to go to the upgrades at Southside Ball Field. I want to be a part of that. And so I'd say our responsibility is not just to provide the resource, but also provide the resource in a safe way. I also want people to want to get on a trail, right? Hey, I experienced coming to Atlanta and I got on a trail and it was really good. I also think for all of those things that you mentioned, the early days or when you were growing up here in Atlanta, I happened to have been here at that time. I went to Spelman at that time. So, but to come back here and see, Atlanta's kind of on steroids, and to know that there is another higher level in terms of people, interacting. But just like this room with all these flags from all these different places, Atlanta is really a great place. And so if we can do our part in Parks and Rec to make sure that, people are attracted to our park system, that they want to get on a trail, they want to use our facilities, I think that our role is to just make sure that they are safely in those environments.
Great, thank you. And I don't have a plug for a city meeting about the regional conversation, but do check out meetings from the Atlanta Regional Commission. They do a lot of similar work at a one step higher level, transportation, particularly environment as well. Speaking of engagement, I wanted to talk a little bit about a whole series of questions we got about engagement. So generally speaking, the question was, how does the city and its departments get more folks involved in the public conversation about the future of the city of Atlanta, particularly those who are not currently aware there's even a conversation to be had, or if they're aware they don't feel welcome in those conversations. And that's a really, I think, really critical question, because that's what we're trying to do here tonight. So I'd like to hear your feedback or comments about how to get folks who are not normally part of the conversation into the conversation.
I just want to say I did not pay anyone to ask that question. I don't know who asked it. I thank you for asking it. I didn't pay anyone to ask that question.
Well, when we set out on this process, we wanted to break all of our records for community engagement. And we've tried a lot of different things to get people to come out and talk with us. We did a lot of different things with varying degrees of success. We've used all of our social media accounts that the Department of City Planning has. We've reached out through our city council members. Thank you, Councilmember Norwood. We've reached out directly to people that we know. All of us have big networks around the city. We used water bill inserts. We did. We reached out to our various neighborhood associations and through the Atlanta Planning Advisory Board so that the NPU leaders could reach out to all of their people. But we know that, people are busy. They have lives, they have families, they have jobs. And it's hard to come out to city planning meetings and give your input. So we're grateful for everyone who comes out and gives us their time and their thoughts, because a citywide plan like this has to be a grassroots effort. In fact, state law says it has to be. The Georgia Planning Act of 1989 says that comprehensive planning is supposed to be a grassroots effort. So the comprehensive development plan, which is consulted each and every time we receive a rezoning application, that's how important it is. The comprehensive development plan has to come from y'all. And it's super important to create a sense of predictability about what's going to happen here in this city. If we put it in this plan, we mean for it to happen. The plan guides investment in the city. The real estate development community counts on comprehensive plans because it gives them an idea when they apply for rezoning what they might get. Not what they will for sure get, but what they might get. It gives them a pretty strong idea. So it's really a guide to our future, and it has to come from y'all. It just does. My team doesn't sit in a back room writing it up. What they do with all this input that you give us at these meetings is they write it down. They're looking for themes. They're looking for you telling us what you want to happen.
I wanted to move on to a couple other topics, just so we have some time at the end for looking at our boards and asking some of the staff any questions you might have as well. But I did want to touch on a couple more things relatively quickly, if we may. One, a lot of questions about the environment, water, and trees. So we're a city in a natural environment, right? The nature was here first. So how do we balance our potential growth that we've been talking about all night long, and it's in all of our discussion boards, and our natural systems and our famed tree canopy, right? Because we know folks are coming. We want some folks to come, but how do we balance that with, again, to our point earlier about our role in the region, why are folks coming here to start with? What's unique about Atlanta? So how do we preserve that natural part of city's uniqueness, but at the same time allow folks to enjoy it as well?
We're the city in the forest, right? That's our brand. Y'all want to answer this?
All right, I'll take a stab at this. Okay. So, I often joke that the city of Atlanta protects its trees better than it protects its children, but we're working on the children, right? We have one of the most robust tree canopy ordinances that on the public side we follow as closely as we possibly can. We are constantly planting trees, bringing more nature in spaces that don't have nature. As we look to acquire land, we try to strike a balance between, while we know we need more amenities like playgrounds and things like that, we also need people to have access to nature. And so, looking for undisturbed land to acquire, to create parks so that they are accessible to all, we do that. And then, again, bringing people to the water. Commissioner Prince mentioned the purchase of the Chattahoochee Brick site. And while it's a long-term effort, it's going to bring people access to the Chattahoochee like they've never had before. And those trails, you're going to be able to walk across the bridge, a bridge, to enjoy the water as well. And the other thing I would like to say just about the environment is in Parks and Rec, we're trying to be more conscious about the purchasing that we are making. We, as a part of our master plan, we replaced all of our golf carts, for example, with the electric golf carts. And so we're, looking at all these different ways that we can be smarter and promote environmental health through the things that we do in Parks and Rec. That's what I would say.
That was a related question as well.
Oh, okay. So in terms of the trails, now the trails that we are talking about they are going to mostly be concrete trails, and we are also looking at soft trails, which are dirt and other things. But we are looking to be, if you think about developing trails, the fact that you are creating a space and you are defining it so that everybody can use it means that you're not creating all these other meandering spaces that could potentially be harmful to the environment. But you're saying you're concentrating your efforts on these concrete trails. But in addition, we partner with the Department of Watershed Management in many of our parks. Very soon, Watershed Management is going to replace the parking lot, for example, at Jahnee White Golf Course with, special environmentally friendly pavers along with trees that we are developing as well. So we are looking at ways to constantly look at a larger city with more people, concentrating the efforts and bringing more and more trees. Mm-hmm.
Maybe the general question about the trail being impervious or concrete, but the actual city in general. How
Let's see.
suck up that moisture with the rain so that not create these horrible runoffs from all the way we fertilize the lawns and everything else. Natural resources.
So I would, like, okay,
Oh,
she's got an
Councilmember
answer.
Norwood
Look at
wants
that.
to answer.
This afternoon, I introduced the city council an infrastructure. To join in with Watershed running this program. So it is to start in December. It has the backing of the administration. The mayor's been out here twice and has said how he wants to see this happen because we do have amazing flooding. We do have a combined sewer system. It is nasty. Everybody knows it. And so we are going to fix it. And it's a task force that will run for 4 months. It will be over March 31st. So that was legislation that was introduced today and has support of my colleagues.
A couple last questions before we break up. Thank you, Councilmember Norwood. Before we break up and have a sort of more informal Q&A, you can check out our boards and our tables one more time. These are more about process, and I want to do these relatively quickly so we can give folks time to have that conversation. So one question was, when we gather information at all these meetings, some of it, of course, relates to the CDP, some of it does not. So how do we manage that information? How do we distribute that? Or are we distributing it to our sister agencies and departments?
Shoot, yeah, we get it where it needs to go. If it's about transportation, I'm passing it along to this guy. If it's about Parks and Rec, I'm passing it along to Tara. Absolutely.
Okay, and then the last question, Commissioner Caviness?
And we have very smart people that help us synthesize all this information, right? We were talking before, institutionalizing some of the great work that we're doing so it lives on beyond us is so important. You heard Councilmember Norwood, and we talk about these initiatives and all, but it can go on a shelf, but we need to institutionalize this for, the administrations that come after us. And this information is invaluable. So synthesizing that information and putting it to work is really important to us.
Great. And then our last question of the formal Q&A portion is about our companion project that came up a couple times tonight, which is the zoning reform work. And so if, Commissioner Prince, if you just might talk a little bit about how those are working together, and then a little bit about the schedules and how those overlap a little bit. Because we had a lot of questions about very specific development concerns, real technical kind of questions, and those are likely going to be great for conversations in Zoning 2.0.
I do not have the zoning ordinance meeting calendar in front of me tonight. But what I will say is, y'all, the zoning ordinance is the law that implements this plan. Right? Nolan, you are making a face.
Commissioner Prince, the next zoning meeting is December 4th.
Okay, December 4th. Gotcha. So think about this. On the map that accompanies this plan, it shows what kinds of development you want to have where. It lists a lot of priorities and policies, but they're just, this is our policy for preserving trees. But there's no law behind it. It's not going to happen. So the zoning ordinance, the tree protection ordinance, this is the muscle. This is the law that makes the plan come to life. So the reason we're doing it at the same time is so we have this plan, and we can make sure that we have the laws that make the plan come to life.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Prince. I would just want to remind folks before we break up for more informal Q&A and then looking at our boards and our question boards back there to make sure you grab your flyer on the way out. Has all our upcoming meetings by subject matter all the way through January of next year. We did not mention a couple meetings in my shameless plugs. We do have a climate resiliency meeting coming up, as well as we mentioned housing, transportation, also economic development. We had a question about land use patterns and industrial property, and I think we'll just field that one off mic in just a minute if we can. So please make sure to check out that schedule. AtlantaForAll.com is the project website. If you are new to the process, I believe we had some new hands when we started out tonight. Please go to that website because you can get information about what occurred before round 3. That means we've had 2 rounds before this, starting back in February of this year. So you can check all that out as well. We will be here till about 8 o'clock. So we welcome your continued conversation and participation. Grab a bite to eat if you haven't already, and thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate it.